Before the universe took form, there was only breath, the silent inhalation of God. These were the words inscribed on a crumbling parchment discovered in an obscure library beneath Jerusalem, believed to belong to a forgotten sect of Kabbalists. Scientists dismissed it as mystic poetry, but mystics whispered that it contained something far greater, the lost rhythm of divine consciousness. Today, neuroscientists speak of quantum coherence in the brain. Monks speak of breath as the bridge to enlightenment, and hidden within both is the same truth. The breath is the code of creation itself. Imagine, for a moment, that every inhale you take is not just oxygen, but divine intelligence entering your body. The same intelligence that designed galaxies, stars, and the spark of your soul. You have been breathing since birth, yet no one told you the breath was the ladder between heaven and earth. This video is not just about breathing differently. It is about remembering who you truly are. Through the Kabbalah crown breath, we will journey into 5 sacred cycles, a process of awakening the crown, or Keter, where human awareness merges with God consciousness. Humanity has forgotten how to breathe with the soul. In the age of constant stimulation, people inhale anxiety and exhale distraction. The body survives, but the spirit starves. The breath, once a sacred key, has become an unconscious reflex. We have traded divine rhythm for digital rhythm, sacred stillness for constant motion. Each scroll, each notification, each unending stream of noise pulls us further from the quiet where God whispers. In Kabbalistic thought, this disconnection is known as Hester Panem, the hiding of the divine face. When we lose awareness of the breath, we lose awareness of the presence that breathes through us. The modern world suffers not only from polluted air, but from polluted awareness. Depression, anxiety, emptiness, all symptoms of a deeper spiritual suffocation. The heart yearns for meaning, yet the mind races without direction. We chase transcendence through consumption and achievement, but what we truly seek cannot be bought. It must be remembered. The problem is not that we are far from God. It is that we have forgotten how to return. The solution begins not with philosophy, but with breath. The first and last act of life, the bridge back to divine consciousness. Long before modern science spoke of energy and vibration, the mystics of Kabbalah knew that every breath was a letter in the divine language of creation. They believed that the universe itself was sung into existence through the sacred name, the Tetragrammaton, Y-8-V-H, whose hidden rhythm mirrors the pattern of human breathing. Inhale, Yod. Hold, He. Exhale, Vav. Hold again, He. The breath was not just life. It was the articulation of God's presence moving through the body. To the ancient Kabbalist, the lungs were the wings of the soul, lifting consciousness toward the infinite. The forgotten solution lies within this awareness, the breath as the bridge between form and formlessness. When we breathe consciously, we are not merely oxygenating the body. We are realigning the microcosm with the macrocosm. The Kabbalah crown breath revives this ancient understanding. Crown, or Keter, represents the highest emanation on the tree of life, the pure light of divine will before thought, before self. When you breathe into Keter, you are not trying to think your way to God. You are allowing God to think through you. The practice becomes a divine download, not information, but transformation, encoded in each sacred inhalation. Modern science, in its quiet humility, has begun to circle back to truths that mystics have whispered for millennia. The line that once divided matter and spirit is dissolving under the microscope of consciousness research. Neuroscientists have discovered that the rhythm of breath directly shapes brain waves, modulating the balance between the hemispheres, synchronizing neural oscillations into coherent harmony. In deep breathing states, the brain produces alpha and theta frequencies, the same frequencies observed in monks, healers, and mystics during transcendental meditation. The breath becomes not just a biological function, but a conductor of consciousness itself. Quantum biologists now propose that the human body communicates through light, biophotons flickering from cell to cell in radiant conversation. Every inhale floods the body with oxygen, but also reorganizes this field of light, making it coherent, unified, and more receptive to higher frequencies of awareness. This is where spirituality meets science. Coherence equals consciousness. The Kabbalah crown breath uses this principle, aligning breath with intention, to create electromagnetic harmony within the body, mirroring the divine structure of the cosmos. The Sephirot of the Tree of Life are not distant symbols. They are inner frequencies of being, awakened through rhythm and breath. The Kabbalah crown breath unfolds in 5 sacred cycles, each corresponding to a stage of awakening that mirrors both the mystical tree of life and the evolution of consciousness itself. These cycles are not mechanical techniques, but living gates, pathways through which divine awareness descends and ascends within you. They form a spiral, not a ladder. Each breath deepens the previous, weaving the physical and the spiritual into one seamless current. The 5 cycles are descent, purification, alignment, illumination, and crown activation. In descent, you ground yourself, creating the vessel, the lower Sephirot, for divine energy to dwell within. In purification, you release the density of mind and emotion, clearing pathways for the sacred current. Alignment brings balance. Your breath becomes the axis connecting heaven and earth, spirit and body. Illumination follows. Light rises through the spine and radiates through the mind, awakening insight and revelation. Finally, in crown activation, the breath dissolves into stillness. The ego fades, and pure awareness receives the download of Keter, the crown. These cycles are both symbolic and physiological, engaging your nervous system, your imagination, and your soul. Through repetition, the breath becomes a prayer, not spoken, but lived. Cycle 1. Descent is the sacred entry into stillness, the beginning of remembrance. Before we can rise to divine awareness, we must first return to the body, the earth, the vessel. The Kabbalists taught that even the angels must descend before they ascend. Every revelation is grounded in humility. Descent is not a fall, it is a surrender. You begin by sitting or standing with your spine tall, your feet rooted, your hands resting gently on your thighs. The eyes soften. The jaw releases. You bring awareness to the weight of your body, feeling gravity hold you. You are not escaping the world. You are anchoring God within it. Inhale slowly through the nose, as though drawing the breath from beneath the soles of your feet. Feel it rise through your legs, your pelvis, your abdomen. The breath entering you like light moving through soil. Pause gently at the top, sensing your spine as the tree of life, rooted below, reaching above. Exhale through the mouth, unhurried, releasing tension from every muscle, every thought. Each cycle of breath carries you deeper into the present. Descent is not about effort. It is about trust, trusting that God meets you, not above, but within. Cycle 2. Purification begins where silence meets surrender. Once the vessel is grounded, it must be cleansed, emptied of noise, fear, and resistance. In Kabbalistic symbolism, purification corresponds to the lower Sephirot, Yesod, Hod, and Netzach, the emotional and energetic layers that store memory and vibration. These are the channels through which divine energy must flow freely. When they are congested with stress or emotional residue, the current cannot ascend. The breath becomes the sacred wind that clears these channels. Begin by inhaling gently through your nose for a count of 4, drawing light into the center of your chest. Hold for 2 counts, allowing that light to expand, illuminating hidden tension. Then exhale audibly through the mouth for 6 counts, as though releasing smoke from a flame. Imagine your exhale carrying away not only carbon dioxide, but the heaviness of unspoken thoughts, regrets, and energies that no longer serve your higher purpose. Each breath purifies not just the lungs, but the subtle body. As you exhale, envision the divine letters of the Tetragrammaton, Yod, He, Vav, He, dissolving impurities into light. The more you release, the more you remember that the breath itself is holy fire, a gentle, luminous purifier sent from the infinite to cleanse the temple of your being. Cycle 3. Alignment is the moment when heaven and earth meet within you. After purification, your inner vessel is clear enough to conduct divine current. Now the task is to align, not through force but through awareness. In the language of Kabbalah, alignment is the harmonizing of the Sephirot, where the pathways of light connect the human and the divine. In the body, this is experienced as the alignment of breath, spine, and intention, a sacred geometry formed by consciousness itself. Begin by inhaling through your nose, slowly and steadily, as though drawing the breath from above your crown, from the infinite source. Let that breath travel downward, through your skull, throat, chest, and spine, a descending river of light, meeting the energy that rises from the earth. Feel the inhale and exhale merge into one continuous wave, like the ocean breathing through you. Your spine becomes the axis mundi, the pillar that connects all worlds. As you breathe, silently affirm, I am the bridge between heaven and earth. Each breath balances masculine and feminine energies, thought and emotion, giving and receiving. This is the breath of Jacob's ladder, where angels ascend and descend simultaneously. When alignment is achieved, your body hums in subtle resonance. The divine blueprint restored, the channel open for illumination. Cycle 4. Illumination is the awakening of inner light, the breath transforming from air into radiance. Once the body is aligned, consciousness can rise through the spine like fire ascending a candle's wick. This is the moment when the hidden temple within is lit. In Kabbalah, illumination corresponds to Tiferet, the heart's splendor, where divine beauty reveals itself as harmony, balance, and truth. Here, the breath no longer merely sustains life. It awakens life to its divine origin. Begin by inhaling through the nose for a count of 5, drawing golden light from the heart of creation into your chest. As the light fills your lungs, imagine it expanding beyond the physical, flooding every cell, every neuron, every thought. Hold for 2 counts, feeling warmth gather in your forehead, behind your eyes. As you exhale softly through the mouth, visualize beams of radiant light extending from your body, forming an invisible aura, the luminous field of your soul. At this stage, many experience subtle sensations, tingling in the crown, gentle vibrations in the heart, flashes of color behind closed eyes. These are the signs of coherence, the merging of biological light and divine awareness. With each breath, the pineal gland, long called the seat of the soul, begins to pulse, releasing dimethyltryptamine-like frequencies that translate spiritual light into vision. The breath opens the gate, Illumination steps through. Cycle 5. Crown activation is the final ascent. The divine download. All previous cycles have prepared the vessel, purified the channels, aligned the energies, and illuminated the inner temple. Now, the breath ceases to be an act of doing and becomes an act of being. In Kabbalah, Keter, the crown, represents pure will, the point before creation, where everything emerges from nothing. It is the realm of divine consciousness, infinite, formless, eternal. When the breath enters this stage, it no longer moves through you. It is you. Sit in stillness. Inhale gently, feeling the breath rise through your spine and exit through the crown of your head like a fountain of light. Pause, not in tension, but in awe. Imagine the breath dissolving into silence, the inhale and exhale merging into one timeless moment. This is where the illusion of separation dissolves, where thought stops and only awareness remains. The breath becomes transparent, infinite, luminous. At this level, words fail. Some feel a vast stillness. Others sense the subtle pulse of creation within their heartbeat. The mind does not interpret. It receives. This is the download. Not of knowledge, but of knowing. The divine breath remembers itself through you. The benefits and results of the Kabbalah crown breath reach far beyond the meditative moment. They ripple through every layer of existence. Physically, the practice reorganizes the body's energy system. Deep, rhythmic breathing increases oxygenation, detoxifies cells, balances the vagus nerve, and stabilizes heart rate variability. The biological signature of calm coherence. Over weeks of practice, you begin to notice a gentle yet profound transformation. The body grows lighter, the sleep deeper, the breath slower, the mind clearer. Mentally, a luminous stillness takes root. The constant inner noise, worry, rumination, distraction begins to dissolve. The mind becomes spacious, receptive, and aligned with intuitive intelligence. You no longer chase ideas. Insights arrive unannounced, perfectly timed, like divine whispers. This clarity awakens creativity, problem-solving, and emotional balance. The left and right hemispheres of the brain synchronize, producing what neuroscientists call whole brain coherence, the signature of heightened awareness. Spiritually, the results are more mysterious yet unmistakable. Practitioners report moments of communion, visions of light, encounters with divine presence, and the deep certainty that all life breathes together in one rhythm. The heart opens, not as a metaphor, but as a felt expansion radiating warmth through the chest. Compassion flows naturally, not forced. Gratitude becomes the default state. In time, fear loses its grip, replaced by trust in the unseen order of creation. Over months or years, the breath begins to breathe you. Each inhale feels guided by something vast and intelligent. Each exhale becomes a release into love. Life itself transforms into prayer. The ancient Kabbalists called this state devakut, union with the divine. It is not a peak to reach, but a rhythm to live. The living experience of the Kabbalah crown breath reveals that divine consciousness is not a theory. It is a living current, moving through those who remember how to breathe it. Across centuries and cultures, mystics have rediscovered the same truth through different languages. The yogis of India called it prana, the Taoists named it chi, and the Hebrew sages spoke of Ruach Elohim, the breath of God that hovers over creation. Every lineage points to the same mystery. When the breath becomes conscious, the human becomes divine. Modern practitioners of the crown breath describe remarkable experiences that blur the line between science and spirit. One woman, a neuroscientist, who approached the practice out of curiosity, reported spontaneous geometric visions, forms of light rotating behind her closed eyes that later matched Kabbalistic diagrams of the tree of life. Another man, once deeply anxious, found that within weeks his breath had slowed to 5 cycles per minute, a natural rhythm associated with heart-brain synchronization. His panic dissolved, replaced by a steady peace he described as a soft hum of God in the chest. Throughout history, the mystics have spoken of the same ascent. Abraham Abulafia, the ecstatic Kabbalist of the 13th century, used sacred breathing and divine names to induce prophetic states. He wrote of hearing the inner music of the spheres, tones born from perfect rhythm. Centuries later, yogis in the Himalayas and Sufi dervishes in desert sands recorded parallel phenomena: spontaneous joy, luminous vision, and the sense of being breathed by a higher power. Today, thousands around the world are reawakening this inner technology. Some experience subtle currents of energy rising up the spine. Others find tears flowing without reason, as if centuries of forgetting are being washed away. In these moments, breath becomes revelation, a dialogue between the finite and the infinite. The Kabbalah crown breath is not about belief. It is about direct experience. The proof is not in doctrine, but in transformation. You become the scripture written in breath and light, your life the living temple where heaven and earth reunite. The journey of the Kabbalah crown breath is not about mastering a technique. It is about awakening remembrance. From the first inhalation of descent to the final silence of the crown, each breath becomes a revelation, a reminder that you are not separate from the divine rhythm that created you. The world may speak of awakening as something to be sought, but in truth, it is something to be remembered. The breath is the key, ancient, immediate, eternal. As you practice these 5 cycles, something subtle yet unmistakable begins to unfold. Life slows down, not because time changes, but because presence expands. The noise of thought recedes, and in its place emerges a quiet intelligence, an awareness that does not need to prove itself. You begin to sense that the same breath that animates your lungs is the breath that moves galaxies. You realize you are being lived by the divine, breathed by the infinite. This is your invitation. Do not let this remain an idea or a moment of inspiration. Practice. Experience it. Let the breath become your prayer and your teacher. Subscribe, share, and return for the guided session to follow. Because enlightenment is not found in distance, but in this very breath.